Hello and welcome to my web channel. Thank you for joining me. My name is Ron Edwards, and I'm going to give folks time to join me. And we're going to talk about a few things concerning our nation, and just get to the bottom of what's going on. This is the Ron Edwards American Experience. I'll be coming live here on. And we're just going to wait a few more minutes and for folks to show up and join in with what's going on. Today on YouTube, this is my first installment, so I just ask for your patience, and we will work out all of the wrinkles, so to speak. But as time goes on, um, things are going to be moving on. But speaking of moving on, we've got some real situations concerning our republic. Today, there was a very interesting press conference. Rudy Giuliani, former mayor of New York, and many other lawyers, including Sidney Powell, they gave a strong press conference today. Um, Explaining how the 2020 presidential election was so deeply flawed in many key areas. We all know that observers were allegedly prevented from watching mail-in ballots being opened in Detroit. People were bullied, they were screamed at, pushed around. Unequal application of the law in Democrat-dominated counties. For instance, in Pennsylvania, whose state Supreme Court created new and relaxed voting rules before the election. Now, the last time I checked, tell me if I'm wrong, I thought that when it comes to laws or rules, that laws were created by the legislature, and the bench is supposed to interpret the laws. At least that's what I thought. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, which I'm not. But anywho, again, I want to thank you all guys for joining me on this, the first installment of the Ron Edwards American Experience. And why did I call it the Ron Edwards American Experience? It's not just to name it after my radio show, which airs by the same name, but it's because right now we're dealing in a real situation. It's our America and the experience. You know, there's so many people that have been proclaiming that their experience in America has been so terrible and so grotesque. They still hang on the history of slavery and Democrat Party racism and things like that, although they like to deny or ignore the fact that the seat of racism in this country is ensconced in the Democrat Party. But it is what it is. And so, my friends, we just have to understand that we in this republic, how do we expect to have a better lifestyle if that's the complaint, right? If we're all complaining and wondering about what's going on in our republic, how are we going to improve our quality of life if we refuse to look towards solutions that are beneficial, not only for ourselves as individuals, but for our nation as a whole, if that is our goal, to improve our quality of life? Seriously, you hear people from Black Lives Matter, Antifa, college professors, brainwashed, indoctrinated citizens by the millions complaining about how horrible it is to be in America. Now, I've traveled to a few places around the world, some very nice and a few not so nice. But when you look at everything on a truly objective basis, One has to admit, even Frederick Douglass, the great Frederick Douglass, who escaped from slavery and had to deal with abject, just total, just bombarded with racism. But yet, guess what? Because of the faith he had in God, in himself, once he understood that he was granted unalienable rights and that he was created by God and that he mattered as much as anyone else, despite what the Democrats had told him all his life when he was a slave. When he learned the truth, he changed his entire attitude. He continued his abolitionist movement to work against slavery. He became a good friend of President Lincoln. He learned to play classical guitar. I mean, not guitar, but classical violin. He chose to become excellent in life. He did not adopt a woe is me victimology mindset. And see, we're going to be talking about on upcoming episodes about wonderful people who set an example for we the people today, who overcame incredible odds and said, you know what, we're not going to allow this circumstance to dictate where we are, where we're going, and how we're going to live and how we choose to live. We're here in this country. We're born in my opinion, the greatest nation in the history of the world. My dad, God rest his soul, passed away when I was 12 years old. What a wonderful man. I'll be talking about him and the wonderful things that he shared with me before he moved upstairs to heaven. Now, we have to, if we really want to improve life, if we still have these problems that they want to continue to talk about that are, for the most part, diminished, what we should be focusing right now is how in the world, how did this nation become so stupefied that we allowed a company owned by two individuals in Venezuela to dictate the outcome of our election? How do we do that? I mean, who does that? And not only did they originally to overturn the elections in Venezuela, it has affected elections in Spain and elsewhere throughout the world. These are current problems that we should be focused on and concerned about. We should be standing up and cheering President Donald Trump, who has done everything possible to make sure that this country is not sunk under the weight of China. He's reversed many of the tactics, many of the agreements that were going to destroy this economy and make it impossible for you and I to even prosper in this nation without the permission of Beijing. Details going to be coming out more and more and more um, concerning the massive cheating that has gone on. And the fat lady's about to sing, and we're going to sit back with a lot of popcorn and lemonade and other good stuff. And we're going to see justice reign supreme finally, after so many years, after a long, long time. I remember as a real young guy back in the 80s, another decade that was very, very prosperous. And if you're a young person and you're developing and you're coming up in a time of real prosperity, and the 80s was, and things were so good. Life was just, I mean, just opportunities up the wang wang. One thing that struck me was how, with all the opportunities that were available to all of us, how certain people sat back and complained about racism. They complained about this, that, and the other. And I didn't think that I was a Swami or a great prophet or anything, but I would tell some of these people, you know what? In 5 years, you're going to be in such and such a position. You're probably going to be right where you are now, economically, and with little advancement. Well, turns out the majority of them ended up that way. And it's not because there were not opportunities available to them. I partook of opportunities. And even if let's say there are situations where there's a racial situation or whatever. You don't stop your life right there and say, well, this is it. This is what I'm going to talk about for the rest of my life. It's bad enough if you dwell on something that is current and negative, but it's retarded to dwell on something that happened 150 years ago, and every single person that was alive during what is making you angry today, they're all dead. The perpetrators and the victims, all of them. And I can tell you, the truth is that when you when you as an individual decide to dwell more on problems than solutions, you're going to end up a bitter individual like Aok, Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. And if you do rise up through the ranks the way she has, you will sit around and decide to make life miserable for everyone else. Aok is a perfect example of that. She is not in office to make things better for us or for the people that she's supposed to be representing in New York. People don't know that she tried to run a business, but she had no success because she didn't know what she was doing, and she became embittered. And she took the opportunity to get into politics, and now she, along with many others from Bernie Sanders on down, wants to make it too difficult for you and I to open and run a business. And see, my friends, we, the people of this country, are so blessed. We have no excuse. I don't care if you're black, white, blue, purple, or whatever. We don't have an excuse. If you have all of your faculties, if you have all of your, um, if your brain is working, if you can walk and talk, chew gum, and wash up and put on clothing, there are opportunities available for you in this country. You can make it if you want to, but it comes down to what you decide to do with your life. One of the reasons why this country right now is suffering under a situation with our election process that, had not Giuliani and some of the others caught this situation, we, the people of the United States, could by this time next year be in a very similar situation to the people in Venezuela, where they switched up to, they understand maybe now 100,000 ballots in just a few states, but overall over a million were switched. Why? Because they wanted to defeat Donald John Trump. Okay, I get that. But I was brought up to believe that if I decide to run for political office, first of all, I want to do good. And if I am going to run against someone, I'm going to have ideas that are better than theirs and will prove my case and get elected or not get elected. And if your ideas are so bad that the only way you can get elected is if you have George Soros helping to pay for Dominion machines to switch the election so you can get into power and do what you want to do, project your will. Your will be done over the American people and over this country to change her into a hellhole, to destroy this constitutionally limited republic and turn her into a crap hole. If that is what your goal is, then you don't deserve to run. You should not run. You should go to work somewhere and work until until you retire and enjoy your grandchildren. It's about betterment, not about helping to destroy our ability to live as Americans in this country. And so I urge you, my friends, my fellow Americans, to please see to it that even with this situation with the voting, look at the truth. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, that's not the issue here. The issue is, do you want the ability to have free and open elections? Do you want the ability to make quality choices for yourself in your life that God has given you? Do you want a better life for your children and your children's children and beyond than you have? That's what's most important here. If you're a believer in God, why would you support a political party that wants to destroy God and wipe God out of this entire society forever? Why would you do that? It doesn't make sense. So I am, people used to ask me, well, Ron Edwards, why is it that you like this country so much? Why? You're a black man. That's especially my liberal white friends. And they would ask, well, you're a black guy. Why do you like this country? And if I was in a good mood, I would just say something, well, why not? Why do you like it? Do you not like it? What's the problem? And so, but the reality is, so you can look at all bad, or you can look at all good, or you can look at the truth that there's good, bad, and ugly. And you concentrate on the good and try to increase what is good for your own rational self interest. I mean, everyone likes to eat, they like to work, they like to do what they do. But if you support a political party, politicians, principles that are lead to destruction, then you have no one to blame but yourself if your life ends up destroyed. I mean, it's that simple. We have no choice but to do what is right and to work for what is right. And if you don't know what it is, do a little research. I mean, come on. Um, well, I was going to say go to church, but you have to search like a needle in a haystack to find the right minister that's going to even teach you the truth. It's almost as bad as going to college now, where most professors are full of crap and they're teaching you um, destructive um, policies and principles. Um, ballots. I want to get back to this voting issue. I'm looking at one, two, three, four, five. I can't tell you how many issues that I'm looking at right now concerning this election. And this evidence is all going to come out in trial. And I'm telling you, I'm going to be watching it with a huge, huge bucket of popcorn. Not a bowl, I mean a huge bucket of it. The Constitution provides a process for electing a president if the vote is corrupted. Um, and the vote has been corrupted. On a future episode, maybe on the next one, I want to get into some details about what we can do constitutionally to right the wrong in this situation with the election process. Because it's gone way beyond about Donald Trump or Joe Biden. We're now deep into the principles um, that need to be reestablished so that we can have good elections in the future. And I mean on the local, state, and federal level. Our entire election system has been corrupted in cities like Pittsburgh, Detroit, Philadelphia, Atlanta. Pick a city, pick a state. There's a level of corruption in almost every single state. And by the way, this is not the first time that votes were electronically switched. This happened during the last election cycle for president, but they only switched about, I don't know, a few 100,000 here and there, and they thought it would be enough because in their minds, they thought Donald Trump was so unpopular that he could not ever get enough electoral votes to secure the presidency. Well, he did, and they did this time around on a much grander scale, so huge that it could not help but be caught. And they had to do it this way because when all the votes are recounted, when all the truth is told, you will see that the president was elected by a massive scale, by a massive amount, and this time around. And it was stolen. And like I said, it doesn't matter if you like Trump, don't like Trump, it's way beyond that now. These people have taken it so far out of that realm, it is ridiculous. And it's going to be very interesting. Um, I'm so happy that in the state of Michigan, for example, you had the the two Republicans on the election board in Wayne County that had switched their votes to agree with the Democrats and saying, "Well, it's all secure. We'll vote and go ahead, and so we can get this thing finally certified, and we'll go." But the reason why they did that is because they became frightened because the Democrats were abusing them verbally and threatening them. Well, they thought about it. I think they heard some comments from people like myself on radio and this, that, and the other, and they switched their vote by midnight. Midnight this morning, midnight. They had switched their vote back to voting to rescind certification, which was their original vote. And then they got scared and then they voted to join the Democrats. And now they have voted to switch their votes to rescind certification. Now, you have this crooked individual. Her name is Secretary of State Benson of Michigan. Lord have mercy. Now, she's saying there's no legal avenue for the Republicans to switch their votes. Well, either she thinks that the American people are as dumb as a box of rocks, or um, whatever. But my friends, I just got to tell you this: it's going to come out in the wash, and it's going to be great. A lot of people were down in the dumps about the way things have gone. This is the best way in the long run because this will make it easier for the president to drain the swamp during his second term because it's all being exposed. It's like an oozing. And the more they become infuriated, they became so cocky. And they thought, well, there's no way we can lose this situation. And so we're going to win and it's all over. Well, that's what they thought. But I tell you what, my friends, justice is about to prevail. And you keep living. And I promise you, justice will prevail. Well, that's just going to do it for me this time around. We will be back. If you are so inclined, you can tune in to the Ron Edwards American Experience this Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on WCETradio.com. That's WCETradio.com. And I will be on the air at that time this coming Sunday. And starting next week, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, I will be on WCETFM.com. This Saturday, you can check out the Ron Edwards American Experience Talk Show on americamatters.us. And that's a Saturday at 11 a.m. That's Pacific time. That's 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also later Saturdays, the Ron Edwards American Experience will be heard all over Nevada on the Nevada Radio Talk Network, Talk Radio Network Nevada. So you can check me out there. And the Edwards Notebook is a commentary that I also produce. It is heard on almost 300 terrestrial outlets around the country via a very popular overnight broadcast called Captain's America Third Watch. So you can check me out there. In fact, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I am a contributor on Captain's America Third Watch at 5 a.m. And on Saturdays as well. Saturday mornings, I am on there as well at 3 a.m. Yeah, if you're an early riser. Check me out there as well. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you can also read my columns on newswithviews.com and America Out Loud, which is also a broadcast site as well as a site for writers such as myself. And my commentary also runs around the clock at the top of the hour on America Out Loud, which is a broadcast outlet as well. Well, until next time, God bless you. God bless America. And may America bless God. I'll see you next time. Bye now.